Hey folks, my name is Dale Davidson. People call me the VA guy. Thanks for tuning in today. Hey, look, if you like what we're doing here, please hit that like and subscribe button and that notification bell. That really helps us out a lot. And look, if you have any topics you need to hear about, you want to hear about, leave me a comment below or send me an email at dearvaguy@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to get that video done for you. Because look, it's all about you. All right, so the topic today is kind of off VA benefits, so we're gonna talk about the top 7 estate planning mistakes and how to avoid them. Now, estate planning is not just for the rich and famous, okay? If you've got a house, you have an estate. If you've got a car, you have an estate. So just because you may not have a tremendous amount of wealth doesn't mean that you don't need to have an estate. I'm quite sure you've heard of the old saying, you don't plan to fail, you just fail to plan. Okay. It's very true in estate planning. If you don't have an estate plan, meaning the basics, now the basic would be just a will, then the government's going to tell you who's going to get your property, how they're going to get it, when they're going to get it. Okay? And I don't know about you, but I don't want the government telling me anything. Okay? I want to control that. So, now, you've heard also about probably these software companies, LegalZoom and other software packages that people use to avoid paying an attorney such as me to draft those documents. Okay. Now, I've been practicing law for about 30 years now, and I've come across some of these documents, some of these LegalZoom documents and these software package documents, as well as some other doozies. Okay, when I say doozies, they were doozies. All right. But these can cause significant problems with the family. And that's just for one reason or another. I've seen people write a will and not mention a child because of some fling they may have had in the past. Shh, I don't want my spouse to know about that. And you might not want to make that admission in your will, so to speak. But if you don't mention that illegitimate child, that can have some serious consequences. That illegitimate child, if they even know they're illegitimate, can actually come against your estate after you pass away because you did not intentionally disinherit that person. So, estate planning mistakes can result in your family losing valuable assets when they pass between the generations. Okay, failing to plan will destroy much of your lifetime's work, hard work, and savings, and this has a devastating impact on your loved ones. So, but hey, good news is that many of these estate planning mistakes can be avoided, and they're easy to avoid. So just stay tuned for that. What do you need to do to avoid these estate planning mistakes? Number one, everybody, like I said at the beginning, everyone has an estate plan, but not everyone has a written estate plan. So if you don't have a written estate plan through a carefully drafted will, not necessarily a LegalZoom or one of those software packages, okay, or trust or other documents, then the state that you live in has a plan for you. This plan is called the law of intestacy. And the government, again, here comes the government telling you what to do, but telling your estate what to do after you pass away. They're going to say who's going to get your assets, when are they going to get their assets, okay, and how they're going to get your assets. So let's take an example of a second marriage. And so you're married and you and your wife never do a will. God forbid something happens to you and you die. Now, you've got 3 children from your previous marriage, none from your second marriage. You're thinking that your wife is going to receive your assets upon your death. Not necessarily, okay? Depends upon how those assets are titled. Let's just say that those assets are not correctly titled, okay? So what does your wife do? What does she receive? She receives, as a general rule, a child's share, but in no case less than a third. So in this case, she would get a third, and 2/3 of your estate would go to your children, your biological children. So if it's your intent to leave everything to your spouse, you got to have it in writing, okay? I don't want the government telling me who's going to get my property and when they're going to get it and how they're going to get it, but I better have a plan. That goes along with, well, wait a minute, if you've got a child with supplemental needs or special needs, if you don't have a will and something happens to you, that child receives a share of your estate, which then disqualifies that child from receiving any kind of government benefits. If we want to preserve and protect those benefits for the child, then we need to have a written document containing a trust for the benefit of that child. Number 2, most people have very simple estate plans saying, we call them I love wills. I love you wills, okay? Now, it says that everything goes to my spouse. And that's all well and good, okay? And so that's simple. I understand that. But this simple plan might not be advantageous, okay? So the problems is that we're not really concerned so much with estate taxes in today's time, but we're concerned with asset preservation and protection because of the enormous cost of long-term care. For instance, skilled nursing home. We're trying to protect assets from the nursing home. Simple wills aren't always the optimal thing to do. Not saying that they don't work, because they do, but it could jeopardize the trying to protect those assets. Number 3, I say many times, and we have a lot of older clientele, the husband owns substantially all the property. Don't know why that is. I guess that's just how it was way back when, that the husband owned property. Well, this unbalanced property ownership can lead to a loss of asset protection, okay? So what we need to do is we need to look at balancing between the husband and wife, okay? And we can do that through various techniques and deeds and things of that nature. Don't worry about the transfer issues with respect to Medicaid, because transfers between spouses are exempt from any kind of look-back period, okay? Transfers between spouses are not subject to the look-back period. You can transfer everything all day long to the other spouse and you're good to go. No problem, okay? Number 4, a will doesn't necessarily control all of your property, okay? Many assets are transferred based upon a contract, okay? Now, for instance, you might have a bank account, a CD, a retirement plan, IRA, annuity, life insurance, real estate. All of those things are by contract. So let's take, for instance, an IRA or a 401k, some kind of retirement plan. You would have a beneficiary designation for that, saying, okay, all of my benefits in my IRA on my death go to my spouse. If she's not here, then it goes to my kids. Simple, right? The problem is a lot of people forget in a second marriage scenario to change the beneficiary designation to their new spouse if that's what they want. I have seen instances here in my office in the last year where a individual got married for the second time. He passed away. His first wife was named as the beneficiary of his IRA. Kids came to me, says, what can we do? Looked at the will, and I said, look, there's really not a whole lot we can do, because the will doesn't necessarily overturn the contract that your dad signed with his 401k company or his IRA company regarding beneficiary designations. So that's why it's so important to keep your beneficiary designations updated as far as your assets are concerned. Number 5, Many people overlook life insurance, which is, again, that can be a significant part of their estate. A lot of people have $50,000 plus of life insurance. Again, but who gets that life insurance is controlled by the contract with that life insurance company. Make sure that your beneficiary designations are up to date on all of your assets, whether it be an IRA, a 401k, a life insurance, annuity, whatever it may be. If you have signed a contract with a company for those assets to go a certain way on your death, and you've had some kind of life-changing event, a marriage, a divorce, whatever it is, and you want to change that beneficiary, you need to go ahead and get it changed, because your will does not necessarily control the disposition of that asset. Number 6, you can't take it with you. So, have you ever seen a armored car following a hearse? Of course not, because you can't take it with you. And look, I understand and I sympathize with folks. They said, we just don't want to even think about our death. We're just, that's not what we want to do. We get stressed about it, and so therefore we're just not going to do anything. Doing nothing is not a solution. It's the same like, well, I've got a toothache. I'm not going to go to the dentist because I don't like dentists, or I'm scared of the dentist. He'll hurt me. Okay? Same way with an estate plan or non-existent estate plan. If you don't have a plan, then your assets are going to go however they're going to go according to the intestacy laws of the state. And I guarantee you there's probably, I'm going to say 100% of you out there are going to say, I don't want the government telling me what I can and cannot do with my property. Okay? If I want it to all go to my spouse, I better have it in writing. It's got to be executed in accordance with the laws of your state and witnessed and notarized. Okay? So you've got to make sure it's all executed correctly. So my last comment in number 7 is, so many people are what I refer to as land rich but cash poor. Okay? And what I mean by that is many people have a great deal of wealth tied up in their real estate. So that's where their wealth lies. They don't have they poured all of their money into their real estate. Maybe you're a farmer, okay? So let's take an example of farmers, and the issue that we've got is, again, asset protection, not estate taxes necessarily, okay? But asset protection now. Because if you're a farmer and let's say that you or your spouse might have to go into a skilled nursing facility. What are you going to do? Okay? Your farmland is worth much more than the amount that Medicaid allows you to keep. And part of it might be exempt because you might live on that. But what are you going to do if one of you has to go into skilled nursing because they've got to be there? You can't take care of them anymore. Family can't take care of them. Then you're going to have to sell land and spend that money down. So again, we can help preserve and protect that farmland for you, or it may be recreational land, but we can preserve and protect that land for you, but we've got to have some time. So that's the 7 common mistakes that people often make, and we know how to avoid them, but you've got to do it through proper planning. So, hey folks, again, thanks for tuning in today. If you like what we're doing, you've learned something new, if you have any questions, hit that like and subscribe button, and then hit that notification bell so that when we put these videos out every couple of weeks, you'll be notified that we've got something new out there for you to look at. Let your friends and family know about us, please. Davidson Law Offices, you can search on YouTube. Be glad to hear from them. Now, if you need help with your VA benefits such as disability indemnity comp, DIC, or VA aid and attendance, or your estate planning, let us know. Send us an email at dearvaguy@gmail.com. Be glad to help. In closing, so look, I want each one of you to go out there today, go out into this messed up world with your head held high, a smile on your face, and go out and make a difference in somebody's lives. Slow down, enjoy the scenery, and by all means put that dadgum cell phone down. Okay, you just do it once in a while and concentrate on your relationships, because relationships are the only thing that really matter in this life. So until next time, be blessed.
No more whiskey, I'll have a Coke. Catching bass on an old fishing boat. One more story from Grandpa Joe. Let's get